This is our very first segment that we'll be doing today, where Leo and I will be talking a little bit about ourselves and our experiences through fatherhood. But I'll let Leo go ahead and introduce himself.
How you doing, guys? My name is Leo Carrillo. Yes, we're doing our first episode, first segment of Fit for Fatherhood, and we're going to talk a little bit about what fatherhood is and the different journeys that both Jose and myself have gone through. You know, we both have different avenues, different pathways that we got to being fathers, and now we're fathers of 4 myself and 5 Jose. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool journey. I hope you guys enjoy it, and hopefully you can learn something from it.
We just recently reconnected. We know each other from high school, middle school. I don't think we went to middle school together, but we were in high school
No,
together. I think we
yes,
crossed
sir.
paths again in college, and we took different avenues, right, of becoming fathers. So can you remind me a little bit? You became a dad at 30, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. So I've known my wife since I was actually 17, 18. We worked together at Stater Brothers, and you know, she just started college. She's from Riverside, but she went to Cal State San Bernardino. So she got a job at a Stater Brothers by Cal State San Bernardino, which is where I worked at and I lived. That's why I wanted to go home. But yeah, so we met there, and we didn't start dating until like my freshman year of college. She was at Cal State, I was at Cal State, and yeah, we've known each other since then, and we went all the way through college, started our careers. You know, we tried to do the whole Christian way of like, we didn't move in together until we got married. Then once we got married, we bought a house, and then we waited 2 years and then had kids. So by the time I was 30 was when we had our first set of kids, because we had twins on our first try. Not our first try, but our first set of kids that we had.
Right.
Yeah, and then from there, within a year and a half, we had our son, who is now 2, and then 7 months ago we had our other son. So now we have 4 that are 4 and under. You know, so it's been an amazing, short span but long hard work of fatherhood.
It's crazy. The funny thing is, my wife is also from Riverside. So, and I didn't even
Oh,
know that until you just mentioned it right now. You know, you went the more traditional route. I actually he went the common route
yeah,
from where we come from. My wife and
true.
I, we were boyfriend and girlfriend back in high school, and we were together for about 2-3 years. She was in college. She was at Cal State San Bernardino. I was still a senior in high school, and she ended up getting pregnant while the last couple of months that I was in high school. I don't know if you knew this, but she ended up getting pregnant. I think it was January. I can't remember exactly when. It was like January, February. I only had about 3-4 months left of high school, and she ended up getting pregnant. And I remember going to her dad and telling him, well, she's pregnant, and him asking, well, what are you guys gonna do? And we were almost forced to get married the summer after high school. I was 18, graduated from high school, and a month or two later in August, we ended up getting married. We were just watching the video of our wedding, and you can just see the face. I'm so young. I'm 18 years old. Scared, don't know what the hell I'm doing and what I'm getting myself into. Luckily, it's worked out. So we had our
Yeah.
first when I was 18, she was 19, and then we had our second. I was 27. Yeah, it was 27 when we had our second, and our first was supposed to be our last, but then we had a second one, and then in my 30s, I can't remember exactly. Well, during the pandemic, that's when it happened.
Yep.
So during the pandemic, we had our third, and then we had our fourth, and then we had our fifth, back to back to back. So right now I do have 4. I guess it's 4 under or 3 under 4. But yeah, it's been
Mm.
crazy. Didn't think I was going to have that many kids after having my first. I said, that's it. We're done. We need to focus on our careers because we need to give this one kid that we have right now the best life. But
Yeah.
and here we are, 5 kids later.
Dang, that's amazing. And like you said, man, you know, you did it in the common or more normal way of where upbringing is, right? Which we went from hood to fatherhood, both from San Bernardino. And you know, we went to the nice part of San Bernardino, but there's no such thing as the nice part of San Bernardino, right?
Right,
Um,
right, right.
but I mean, I think that's a great example of how like you are a very well established. I mean, at least in any standards, right? Of going to school, getting your master's degree, correct?
Yeah, masters. Hmm.
Yeah, master's. I mean, you have a career in finance, which is amazing. You know, that a lot of us that are in finance look up to. So when people think like, oh man, this person had a kid at 18, their life is ruined. I feel like you're a great example that that's not the case. If anything, you can actually motivate yourself a little bit more to do more, because now you have not only a girlfriend or slash wife that you have to take care of, you have a new baby that you have to look forward to, knowing what jobs to get to provide for health insurance. Because I feel like kids don't understand how important and expensive that is when you get older, when you have people that you have to take care of. So I feel like that's a great motivational to people that think that career ends or pauses, or your life ends because you have a kid at a young age.
Yeah, and I know when my girlfriend at the time, wife now, was pregnant, I remember going through that fork in the road where I thought, well, maybe I had gotten accepted into Cal State and thought, well, maybe I can't go to college because now I have to fully focus on providing for my family. But I decided to do both. I decided to go to college and then also had to work because I had to put food on the table. So I did go through that deciding point in my life where I had to make a decision to either do one or the other. But luckily, I decided to do both. And yeah, and not to brag at all, but yeah, definitely it ended up getting 3 degrees in a 5 year span. Got 2 masters in 15 months. So in 15 months, I was able to complete 2 MBA programs, which had never been done before. But the motivating factor was my kid. I needed to get everything done as soon as possible. Needed to get all my degrees so that I could just fully focus on my career and providing for my family. So we can see it as a limitation or a motivation. And luckily for me, it was a motivation.
Yeah, and I feel like that's all it takes, right? Obviously, I'm sure you had a very supporting cast, like a good family that had your back while you were doing all this. Your wife had a probably good supporting cast as well. But I think that's really, besides that, the factor of how you see things, how you see any obstacle, right? Is it something that's going to push you to do better, or is it going to be something that you're going to use it as an excuse to not do what you want to do or how you were supposed to do it?
Right.
So, man, that's amazing background on that. I was gonna say, because fitness, right? Fitness is something I feel like all fathers, especially of multiple, struggle. I was gonna ask you, like, how do you feel you fit that into? I mean, you with schooling, right? You have 5 kids, you have a wife, a home, all the stuff that we have to do, and then somehow we have to fit fitness into this world. How do we do that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been the toughest. I know that's usually what gets put in the bottom of the priority list because just kids, and both you and I know we see each other through social media platforms, but both you and I we're not we're I guess we're a different generation of fathers where we like to be more involved. So it's very different. It's very different than my dad put food on the table, and that was his role. He's been a big influence in my life, but it's a different type of father figure. Where as opposed to us, we try to be as involved with the kids, take them to the park, try to be more involved in things that before wasn't the case. I think that us trying to be present also creates a little bit of a hurdle when we try to incorporate fitness because I know it happens to me where I'm thinking, man, I'm here at the gym an hour, 2 hours, but those could have been 2 hours I could spend with my kids. I'm already away from them because of all those responsibilities that we have, but now I'm away from them. And I don't know if you go through the same thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, like, I think you mentioned it when we had conversations before, but dad guilt, man, right? One of my businesses that I have is my wife and I and a partner of ours started a boot camp. So I'm literally at the gym for my job. But as soon as my work is done, my first thought is I need to get home because my wife is at home with 4 kids by herself. I need to hurry up and see what I can do to help her, right? Instead of like taking 30, 40, or maybe an hour to just work out. But I think it's a dad guilt, and I'm sure my wife wouldn't mind either. It would just be a normal thing, but it's more of in us. And it really happened a lot with this last kid, with my fourth one, because she already has the twin girls. My son, he is the definition of terrible twos right now. And then so with her and then having a 7-month-old baby, I'm like, man, I got to get home to see if I can help, because like you said, we're in the stage of this fatherhood. I think that our generation is very, it's not just about providing, it's about being there, right? Being the present, being an influence to our kids, not be gone 16 hours a day because we can put food on the table and a roof over our family's head. We're doing all we can as fathers. We want to do a little bit more. And I'm not talking down on the generations that did that. It's just because we're in the era of information, we are starting to grab the information that shows that it is vital. It makes a difference in a kid's life to be present. And I know you mentioned you had a father who was there for you and provided and all that. And see, on my end, which my pathways, I didn't get to grow up with a father that was present. You know, I grew up with single mom. It was just me and her. I think the silver lining of that is I got to have a lot of good male mentors. So like when I would meet a good man, like it was a friend's father or my godfather, if I thought they were good at something, I would learn from that one something and ignore their bad, right? And then I'll grab the other good from another male that's doing well, is a good father, good man, good provider, learn from him, and then forget about the bad. Where I feel like if I had a father or a present father, it would be more of I have to be like him, both good and bad. You know, most of the time it's implemented that way, but I think that was a silver lining of me having no actual father figure. I get to choose my father figures and grab the best of each one and then try to make myself a good man from those, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure it was very different for you, especially growing up with a single mother. But she probably motivated you too, and the success that you've had so far.
Man, I think my mom is one of the most strongest, and every man says this about his mom, obviously, but we came from Mexico to the United States when I was like 7 or 8 years old. And from then, man, she's been making me read all self-help books since I was little. I was reading Purpose Driven since I was like 13, 14 years old. 7 Habits of Successful People. I've been reading all those books since I was young because my mom made me read them. You know, that was my reading literature that I had. And then she was very strict about making sure my school was on point. She was making sure that everything that I needed to do was being done, you know, as best as her ability. And also she was working. She had a full-time job. She's an accountant. So she was gone, and I had to have responsibilities at a young age because there was nobody there to look out for me. So it worked out. It worked out for all of us. And I think as far as what it turned me into as a father is, I think it gave me that extra push that I have to be there for my kids, because I'm like, man, how can someone not want to? You know, this is like amazing seeing my kids wake up. When you come home, open the door, and like, Papa, that's like the dopest feelings ever. So, yeah, I think that's another push for why I want to be as present as possible.
Yeah, and I love it when that happens. I open the door,
Yeah.
the kids already hear the garage door opening, as soon as I open the door, they're all running towards you. It's like the best feeling, especially when they're little humans and they're running and they come and they give you a big hug.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. And then fitness, I guess the way we were talking about like fitting it in, I think it is hard because again, dad guilt, but also just taking time away from them. I've tried working out in the backyard with my kids, you know, with kettlebells, a couple dumbbells, and they'll get into it, but I get frustrated to the point where I'm like, man, I can't get a real workout in. I'm wasting my time. Sometimes I'm yelling at my kids and I feel bad. I'm like, man, you know what? I'm just not going to work out no more. I'm done. I'm just not going to work out. I don't have time. It is what it is. But I think that's something that we're learning. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was very interested in starting this podcast, because both you and I can brainstorm of maybe ways that we can do it, but also getting input from other fathers who are either going through it, have gone through it, that can give us tips, or are going through it now and are like, hey, you can do this, or I'm doing this, this works. It'll be fun to see how that works out.
Yeah, because you have a pretty jammed schedule. You have a few companies that you run right now,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes,
then
sir.
one of them being a fitness company. I think you had mentioned that you thought, well, we're starting this fitness company, and because I'm starting this fitness company, I'll be able to get more workouts in, and it didn't work out that way.
It went all total opposite. Yeah. So right now, I do taxes with tax business. I do credit repair because I'm in the finance industry, and I also do help businesses start up. If you want to start from ground zero, I can help you get your LLC, start your QuickBooks, your back end bookkeeping, all of that good stuff, all the way to taxes. I do credit repair for people that need lending, anything that needs to do with business, we help out. I started this boot camp side of things because my wife is in a nutrition business. And I wanted to see if I can merge them together. And I was like, man, if I do this, I can get more workouts in. But it just added more to my plate, so less time for myself. But it happens when we throw stuff in there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, schedules are so jam packed that I try to do as much as I can from home. But even that sometimes is an obstacle because there's a lot of phone calls involved, a lot of meetings involved. Having 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds running around sometimes isn't the best area for that. But we make it work. We make it work. Like I know you've run a couple businesses, man. Some of them I'm like really interested in. So let's hear about those.
Yeah, I'm involved in a few different areas. So I guess what you can call my main job is I'm a lecturer at Cal State San Bernardino, the school where I graduated from. I teach finance there, different types of finance, primarily corporate finance, but investments, derivatives, you name it, I've taught it there at the university. I also run an education and technology company where our mantra is we prepare the kids of today for the careers of the future, and we teach them different aspects of STEM. It's a passion. I love doing what we do because where we're heading right now, it's a world that's tech driven, but we're also having an impact on communities that we come from, underserved communities, and we're trying to bridge that gap because these tech skills can really change their lives and can change their legacy. That's why I love what we do because we teach young kids these different STEM skills. But also have a project over there in Mexico. We've talked about it a few times, and also do business consulting. So I do business consulting more on the federal government side, where we also assist with entity formation. So it's funny how we have a lot of synergies. You know, you and I just
Yeah.
recently connected, but we do entity formations. We help with marketing, operations, HR. We do it all at the federal level, so we're federally funded. And my area of expertise is primarily finance. You know, building projections, helping businesses get access to capital. Very, very similar to you. So just wearing different hats. And I just gave a presentation 2 days ago, and I was talking about some of the things that I'm involved in, and one of the entrepreneurs in the audience said, "Well, when do you sleep?" You know, and sometimes you don't. When you have so much on your plate, sometimes you don't. You
Yeah.
get 2, 3. You get what you can, 2, 3 hours of sleep. And but one of the issues is our health. We want to be present for our kids as long as possible, and one way of doing that is through our health. You know, working out, eating right. And I know it's tough to eat healthy, especially when you have little kids and you don't want them to miss out on having pizza or a burger, the traditional things that kids love. But that's been my biggest struggle is I have put my health always at the bottom of the priority. So I go through different periods where if I have time, when I have time, you'll see me. I'll lose 40 pounds and then be more lean, and then you can tell as soon as I get extremely busy, it's obvious because then I'll put on 20 pounds and I'll have a time where I have like a month where it slows down. So then again, fully focus on the gym. Then but one thing that I've told myself recently is I have to make my health a priority, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour. Before, if I didn't have 2 hours, 3 hours to work out, I'd say, well, there's no point. Why even work out if I don't have I'm not gonna be able to get my full workout in. Something I've learned this past year is get what you can. If it's only 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, still get that workout in. You want to make sure that you're healthy for your kids. I'm 35 years old. I have a 1 year old, a 2 year old, and a 4 year old that want me to run around with them and chase them, and they like to play Daddy Monster. They say, let's play Daddy Monster, and if I can't be healthy, then I won't be able to do those kind of things with them. So I have to make sure that my health is a priority again, so I can be present. It's also about being. It helps us be more present with the kids, being able to play with them, um, being able to be here for a longer period of time for them because we don't want to die young either. There's how your health has a lot to do with the longevity of your life as well.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree with everything you just said. Just bottom line, I think what you mentioned was putting our health at the bottom of the barrel, which it shouldn't be that way. And like my wife made a good point not too long ago. She was like, "You're gone a lot because of work. You eat by yourself most of the work." So using the justification of, "Oh, my kids wanted this, my kids wanted that," we can choose right most of the time, as far as how we eat. But it is, I mean, I'm not saying it's easier or anything, but it is something that it is up to me. I sometimes just like to treat myself. I like to I like to open my laptop, to be honest with you, at BJ's Brew House and have a beer with my lunch and work while I'm working,
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes from 1 beer to 3 beers. And that's just how it is. That's like my way of having my me time. But instead of me having a me time to where I should be eating, just a side of broccoli with a side of steak and the soda water, I'm eating beer and a burger. That's a choice that I'm doing on my own. And she mentioned that, she brought that up, and that's something that, yeah, I can definitely change. And like you said, you can, if anybody knows my Instagram, Leo UFG 19, you can see that I fluctuate weight. Not too crazy, but at least 15, 20 pounds every season of my kid. Like before my kid's born, I go on a hiatus where I'm losing weight. I'm down 15, 20, 30 pounds. And then my kid's born, and then I gain 15, 20 pounds. And I'm at that gain mode right now with my son being 7 months old. But yeah, it's time to bring it back down. And that's part of this journey, is seeing if we can bring that down.
Same thing. I go through the exact same scenarios, and I've actually heard that there's a hormone that makes you gain weight. I'll have to verify that. I think I heard on the Joe Rogan podcast. He
Oh,
talked
dope.
about how there's a hormone that when you're about to have a kid, or when you have a kid, you tend to gain weight because it's like a defense in our body. But this last kid, I was 230 pounds before we had him, and then I went all the way up to 260. you know,
Dang,
yeah,
yeah.
so just 30 pounds, and I wasn't working out, and there's times where I gain 20, 30 pounds, and it's okay because at least I'm going to the gym, there's at least some muscle there. But
Yeah.
this last kid, I didn't go to the gym at all. If I went once a week, that was a lot. So I know that it was all fat. Now that he's one now, but it's taken me this long to now say, you know what, I need to get back on. I need to make my health a priority. Yeah, exactly. Make my health a priority. He's a little bit more independent. Me not feel that dad guilt as much as I do when they're first born. They're babies. Like you mentioned earlier, you want to help your wife out, especially because they're outnumbered. With one, the great thing about having one is one can be absent and still your one parent isn't outnumbered. When you have
Yeah.
two, now you have to be a little bit more present because now one parent is left alone, then they're outnumbered. But three, four, like you have, and five, like me, it's very tough because now
Yeah.
they're totally outnumbered. If one's crying, what are they going to do if the other one's crying? So, well, but yeah, I know something that I need to focus on again is just making my health a priority, and I've been doing it. I've been trying to get at least 2, 3 workouts in a week, and making sure that they're good workouts. That it's quality over quantity. I used to think, well, one day has to be fully focused on one body part or two body parts, chest and back, and
Yeah.
and and buys, but we don't have time for that. I realized, and I would go sometimes. I would complete those regimens, and it would take me 2, 3 weeks to get through the whole body parts because I didn't have time to go to the gym. But now, one thing that I've done recently, and actually I like a lot, is I have the two splits: upper body, lower body. So at least if I can only get in twice a week, I worked out every part of my body. So that's
That's a
something new
good.
that I learned, and I didn't like those workouts before because I thought I'm not getting a full chest pump. I'm not really being efficient with working out my arms. But I've honestly noticed that I get the same pump
Yeah.
because the workouts were further out before, so I get the same pumps. With our busy schedules, I think it's something that's worked out for me right now. Just being able to focus on upper body and lower body.
Man, I like that. I like that. Yeah, again, we have a boot camp here, and I'm not able to like jump on them sometimes, but we do have a lot of machines, and I'm able to do those. So what I've been doing is we have 4 blocks in the morning. So I'll jump into one, and not do the classes, but I'll jump and do like you said, an upper body section on the machines, and then from there I'll keep going with my work. Then when I get off, I hang out with my kids, and we've been doing something once a week. It's called a big family walk. My kids call it BFW. And where we live, there's a burger place that's about 2.5 miles each way, so it's 5 miles total. And we'll all go on a walk. My kids will take their scooters, and we go walking all the way to the burger place. My kids will have a burger. My wife and I will have like a side patty or something, and then we walk all the way back home. So that's a good 5 mile walk that we do at least once a week.
No way.
And yeah, and it's cool because the kids like love it. They know what exercises are. My 2-year-old calls weights heavies. He's like, "Oh, are you gonna lift heavy today?"
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So my kids at least have that notion of working out. And I think that's something that it's implemented, but it's also for us, like you said, to be more consistent, more than efficient. Because efficiency can be like, oh, we have to, like you were saying, we have to get a full chest back day, or else it's not worth it. But I think the consistency of doing some kind of workout, maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes every day, regardless of what it is better than figuring out how to do one or twice a month, but it was efficient. I think the consistency part matters more. but
Totally.
we'll see. We'll see if it works. We're still learning as well.
Right. Oh yeah. 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 No, but I totally agree with what you said here, and just also incorporating the family, like you mentioned, 5 mile walk. I
Yeah.
know I never used to keep track of my steps. I grew up in the era when bodybuilding was just starting, and it was Ronnie Coleman. Go all out on legs one day where you can't walk the next day, and chest, same thing. Just go all out on chest. I think there's on my Instagram, I think I have a picture of when I was in high school. Super built, 230 pounds, real lean. Muscles protruding. So that's the era I grew up in, and I kept that mindset up until just I think this last year,
Mm.
and realized that mindset doesn't work for me right now because
Right.
of my schedule. So now, I same thing when I would hear people say, "Well, look, I'm counting my steps." I would think, "Well, does that? I don't think that works. Does it really work?" And one thing I've realized is, at least with the steps you're getting, it's forcing you counting your steps. It's putting a goal or an objective for you to be active. To be active, to go to burn some calories. So same thing with my kids. I love going out on walks. I look at my watch, and I'm at 8,000 steps. I want to get to 10,000 or 15,000. So let's go for a quick walk, and the kids will go with me, and so it's also helping me meet my fitness objectives, which is good. Just incorporating them with that. 5 miles is a lot. I don't know if my kids could last 5 miles. It's a long
Yeah.
walk, but
Yeah, we also take the strollers. So they'll jump in the stroller, and it's
yeah,
it's a stroller for 3 kids, but we make 4 fit. So
okay,
yeah, we'll go, and then if one, or they'll switch off. One will be tired, and the other one will ride a scooter.
yeah.
But yeah, they can't if they can't keep up with 5 miles. My wife and I sometimes have to make some pit stops here and there. But,
That's pretty cool though. Yeah, and I think that's what's important, getting them involved, and it also helps us be more present, but it also exposes them to some good habits. I know for one of my businesses, when we're barely opening up our business, I took my daughter and my oldest son, and I had them help me clean. And so, hey, we're having a grand opening. Come over here, and as business owners, sometimes we play all roles. Janitor, you name it. So we're there
mhm.
cleaning and preparing for the grand opening. But took them, my daughter. I have pictures of her where she's cleaning, she's mopping, trying to help me. Didn't do a good job. It's not to remop, but still, at least she's there, and she feels like she's a small part of, or a part of
Yeah.
of what we do. Same thing with working out. Sometimes I take them to a gym where they have a kid zone, and still, even though I'm not with them, they feel like they're with me. They're working out. They're having their own fun. They're at the kid zone, and I'm working out. But just showing them that this should be part of your routine. This should be part of your life. Working out, whatever type of workouts you do, I think it's nice to get them involved in some of what we do.
I agree. I agree, man. Yeah, even I mean, that's another big one too, right? Like having them come in and showing them to clean, showing them to work. That regardless of what dad's position is in any company, cleaning and keep taking care of what needs to be taken care of isn't
Right.
above or below anybody. So I think
Absolutely.
that's a good message to send our kids, especially when we have, when we run our own businesses, whether big or small, having that mentality that you're willing to mop floors as the same as taking the biggest sales meeting of all. They're both just as important.
Absolutely.
I think that's a big factor. Because even if they don't end up owning their own, and they work for somebody, I feel like having that mentality that stuff needs to get done, regardless of whose job it is it's a vital thing. I feel like a lot of kids nowadays don't have it. They have that "that's not my job" mentality, and
Right.
we need to retract that a little bit to make sure that things just flow correctly.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And if you look at the founder of NVIDIA, his highlight on his resume is dishwasher. And I think he was a dishwasher at Denny's, and if you, I think he has it on his LinkedIn too, where it says dishwasher and then CEO of NVIDIA.
That's
it
crazy.
shows that no job is too small in the business.
I agree.
Yeah, your business is a representation of who you are, and if you're okay with, if the janitor is not there, and you're okay to bringing in people into your business with the place dirty just because that's not part of your job description, that's ridiculous.
It's a lot about the business and the product that you're selling for sure. No, man, I
Absolutely.
totally agree, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for the next few episodes. Um, just in general, man. Talking fatherhood, talking about experiences. We can get into those more on the next couple episodes, man.